Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is a different video, so the intro is a little bit different. Usually we have slides in front of us, so that's kind of my cue. But welcome, our friends from all around the world, from the comic book world. My name is Hector, and here's G.
My name is G.
And we work for Penguin Random House, if you don't know, and we manage sales into the direct market around the world. And we represent a lot of publishers, obviously. And this is the first time we do this kind of video, but in the past we've done this list at the end towards the end of the year. We pick G and I pick our favorites for the year from the books, books from the publishers that we represent. This one is for collected editions and graphic novels, but then we'll do another one for manga, manhwa, etc. So you'll be able to see both sides. Also, we're kind of excited. You get to see sort of what we prefer, what we like. That's really the criteria here. Is not really, yeah, some of them are top sellers or whatnot, but it's not really. It's more about our likes. And we'll just go through each title. We'll alternate and tell you a little bit about them, but mostly why we like them and why we pick them. Okay,
Hmm.
and I'm gonna get started with the first one, and this is Avengers Twilight. This is the obviously volume number one, uh, and it collects the issues one through four, and I'm pretty sure everybody out there in the comic world knows this title. And they know what it is about, but I'm just to mention is Captain America golden in his golden age, golden years. He has to basically come back and put together an Avengers team to save the world again, obviously. And one of the things I love about this book, obviously, is the concept that it has been done and it's been you see it nowadays a little bit more of superheroes. What happens when they're up in years and or they're retired. This one particular, one of the big things. Oh, I should mention is it's written by Chip Zdarsky. It's illustrated by Daniel Acuna, and this is obviously an Alex Ross cover. Um, one of the things I really like is the setting of the story is in this future that seems extremely possible and real to us because there's a lot of politics and a lot of social tensions that have escalated, but you can kind of we feel kind of in that is something that could happen in the future, of course. And there's reasons for obviously for Captain America having feeling like he needs to come back. But another thing is, it's not just concentrated on one character. We have Logan, old Logan, we have Hawkeye, we have so many of these characters where you see them when they're older, even Batman. And Captain America is very interesting, but all the other characters too are very interesting. And the stories that Chip Zdarsky came and for them in their old age are extremely interesting too. My favorite is Kamala Khan, and I love I love what he thought Kamala Khan would be in the future as a older woman. So this is it. That's it for this book. Highly recommend it. If you haven't picked it up and read it, I definitely you should. That's it. I think I said more than I thought I was going to say. Sorry about that.
uh, so my pick is Next Stop by Debbie Fong. I have the hardcover version, but you can also get this in trade paperback. This is coming from Random House Graphics. It's a story about this girl named Pia who goes on this really weird bus tour that many people would find lame. Like it's literally a bus tour where you see like the smallest corn maze, where you look through a like magnifying glass to see it. Like that's an attraction, or like there's a stairway to nowhere that people are like, wow, where does it go? But the final destination is what they're aiming for. It's their big attraction, and it's this underground lake, and locals say that it has magical powers and miracles happen for those who visit and drink a little bit of the water from the lake. And Pia, the main character, she goes on this trip because she really so desperately wants a miracle to happen, and she wants the lake to fix her family and mend her family. And so I love that in such a short amount of time, you get this is a character, Pia, who is isolated, alienated, alone. She feels like even those closest to her hate her. And so she's on this bus tour. She's surrounded by the best possible collection of strangers that you could possibly get because they're so heartwarming. You know that they care despite the fact that they're strangers. And I want to like introduce you to some of the characters. This is not all of them, but this is some. Yeah, hopefully you can see this little girl character. Her name is Detective Lily Princess. She carries a toy sword and defeats
Yep.
evil. There's this like older lady auntie who wears a visor, and she like wears a magical fanny pack that includes like the best possible candy and snacks. It's not like those old granny candies. So like it's just these like really interesting characters that you see in the comic. There's also this guy named Camus who teaches her how to play Go. And I actually played this game. I was taught this when I was younger. It's very much like chess, except it's black and white stones. But unlike chess, where you have kings and queens that preside over the pawns, there's equal value with these stones, and it's all about battling territory. And Camus equates that to the battle of cancer that his wife is going through, where cancer is like an invasion of territory in that way. So he's on this mission with his partner to like look towards the lake as a miracle for like a cure for their illness. So like it's really this story excels because of the ensemble cast of characters. You only meet them briefly, and here and there, it's just these like brief moments with these people, but has such an impact on this main character. It's a story about grief, of friendship. It's the power of community. It's a story that made me laugh. It's not just the dialogue. You have to look into the art because you get to see like some
Yeah.
humorous moments in the background. But it's also those rare instances that it actually made me cry. And I was like sobbing in public when I was reading this. So I highly recommend it. I just sing my praises. The hardcover is beautiful. Like if I take this off, you get to see like all the destination markers that you'll recognize from the story. Highly recommend it. So this is one of my picks.
Very cool.
Mhm.
Very cool. And I'm gonna continue with Blacksad, and this is the All Fall Down Part Two, and this is the Eisner and Harvey Award winning story of Blacksad. This is a translation, English translation, obviously written by Juan Diaz Canales and illustrated by Juanjo Guarnido. Um, and you know, if you don't know Black Sad, definitely check it out. It's for fans of pulp fiction type of detective stories. It takes place in New York in the 1920s, but it's in New York where the characters are all anthropo. I have a hard time with that word, anthropomorphic. They're like people with animal features, so animals with people features. I don't know how either way, but yeah. And on this cover, obviously you see somebody who's derived from a pig and somebody from a bird, but you have John Blacksad, and you can see him in the back, who's a detective, is sort of your typical thriller of the 1920s type of story. Um, I'm not going to go completely into it. We already have a bigger collection at the beginning. We also had one called Black Set Amarillo, which is a separate story. Silent Hell is another one. And then, of course, we have, like I said, They All Fall Down Part 1 and Part 2. I got to say, this story, like I said, is the stories for these books are amazing, but also the art that Juan Guarnido draws and is just incredible. It's a very lengthy story. As you can see, there's a lot of panels, but also there's so much detail to this world, not just in the art itself too, but in the description that Juan Diaz Canales does and created for this world. Um, it's like I said, it's sort of a greedy Dick Tracy type of thing, but it's more like the classic pulp fiction, pulp crime novels that that we see out there from taking place in the 1920s in a city like New York. So uh, there you go, and that's it for this title.
All right, next up, no surprise, I'm such a huge fan of Cullen Bunn, so I had to include Monsters Are My Business. This is the trade paperback. This is coming out of Dark Horse. 3 years ago, a world event has happened. Chaos brought with it acid rain, and that burned like the skin right off of bones. It's like considered a biblical flood in a way. And those
Mhm.
rains were brought off by a nightmare of summoning conjurers. So you have these ancient, monstrous creatures that plague the waters in the flood, and humanity has to adapt to this. So this story begins years later when humanity has already settled into this traumatic event and world that they are now like imposed upon. And so we have the main character named Grizz and his team go on this mission where they have to rescue a group of government contractors. And by going on that mission, they stumble upon this mystery that threatens their lives. So, why did I love it? I have to show you. There is a main reason, and we have you see this character here? He's so cute. Let me show it to you in detail. Hopefully, the video is
It's sort
not
of like
cutting it off.
it's a little bit like Stitch, but a very bloody Stitch. But
So
yeah.
he has this chainsaw wielding adorable koala bear named
Hmm.
Cuddles. And Cuddles is his loyal buddy there for him every step of the way. I love how it doesn't shy away from gore. I mean, this is a huge part of the reasons why I like this book because of Cuddles. But I like it because the main character, who you'll see on the front here, named Grizz, he is able to make roots in because of his nature. He's such a like he has a way with people and he's able to make roots within this community in this desolate world. And it seems like all hope is gone. Goodness does not exist in this world anymore. Yet he brings the sense of warmth because of his heart. Because of his like because of that, because of his personality, he's able to affect the people around him, and they would go at lengths to protect their own, including him and their own community. So I love that this story is about like finding your family, no matter how many eyes you have, no matter how furry you are, like Cuddles. It's really a world that I wish that Cullen Bunn can like. I want to see this more from Cullen Bunn, and so I just had to sort of amplify it because of how much I adore it. So I had to include this here. So yeah.
Very good. Very
Hmm.
good. Next up is Godzilla's 70th anniversary. This is from IDW. This includes a lot of stories with a lot of writers and illustrators. I'm just going to mention a few of them: Joel Jones, Michael Conrad, Matt Frank, James Stocco, Adam Gorham, many more. It's a very cool celebration of Godzilla. I'm just gonna flip through a few pages here, but there you're gonna notice that there's different styles. There's different, like I said, stories, but also different styles because there's different artists. But I love that it's all within the world, and for fans, world of Godzilla, there are some cameos from characters that you have seen before with Godzilla. There's some introduction of a couple new ones that you never met, and it's just a fun book to have if you are big on kaijus and Godzilla. There's not much to say about this. It's a beautiful hardcover edition too, which is great. So this is what best way to celebrate the 70th anniversary then. Not just getting a nice, beautiful collection, but a new with new stories that you haven't
Mhm.
read before. So very cool.
All right, my next pick is, of course, Ultimate X-Men. This is
Yeah.
by Peach Momoko. I'm sure the comic community already knows about this. I got the trade paperback. This collects the first arc, which is issues 1 to 6. And I love how we get the nightmarish artwork from Peach Momoko. So it adds this horror element that seems really out of this world. I just wanted to show you a little bit of what I mean about that artwork here. It's like so scary. But the nightmare kind of exists in realities where you have teens going through themes of bullying and guilt that the main character Hisako goes through when she loses her friend Tsubasa when he took his own life, unfortunately. So she replays the words she said to him. Could she have done anything differently? We see the shadowy form that appears that gives her like a charm, like a memory, which basically things take a turn when she receives it. Her powers get awakened. She becomes armor, and over the course of the story, we have an X-Men team that forms with Mei, Nico, Natsu, and Mori, like a collection of characters. The reason why I love it is because I love how the story sticks to its roots and is very much steeped in Japanese culture. Throughout the like pages, you see like lexicon pages for cultural references, which is nice. If you're unaware of like the references in Japanese culture, you can look at those pages. I love the nod to Astro Boy. If you caught on to that within the comic, if you haven't, you have to read it to like find out. But what I like the most is that it grounds itself with characters who are teenagers who actually deal with teenager problems. And it's to the point where I'm not gonna reveal spoilers, but the arc that you see here culminates with the X-Men team, and they're in the schoolyard and they're battling it out on a basketball court as they go head to head with their opponents. So like that's what I like. It's like a teenager story with very much problems that they deal with at their age, and it's just beautiful art on top of that. So had to
Very
put it on
cool.
my list. Mhm.
And my next one is Joe the Barbarian. This is a new edition. But I had to pick this one because I love this book, and I'm glad that DC is doing a new edition for it. That it's available out there. If you don't know this book, really, to me, as soon as I read it, it was like it gave me vibes of things like Never Ending Story or a little bit of The Talisman by Stephen King and Peter Straub. If you don't know those stories, when you start reading, you'll get an idea of what they are. But basically, it's this kid Joe who has a big imagination. He's 11 years old. He has diabetes. His dad just passed away in Iraq, and he has bullies in school. I mean, he's not having a great time for sure. And one day, he because of diabetes and type 1, he has to be like continue eating. He even has a chronometer to make sure he like an alarm, so he eats. He sort of forgets and he starts seeing things in his room and he's not sure if they're real or they're part of his condition. um but basically it transforms him into this fantasy world which is within his room, and he is a lost savior for the citizens of this new world. And you're gonna see pirate dwarves, you're gonna see hellhounds, lightning lords, all kinds of things. But also at the beginning, throughout the story, you don't know from the beginning, you don't know if this is real or he's imagining all this, and he's just in, uh, he has his diabetes are taking over, because he didn't eat. But I gotta tell you also, one of the cool things about this is it's DC book, so it includes a lot of cameos from characters from DC's, and a lot of them are because he has toys in his room, and this is one of my favorite images towards the beginning of the book, where he starts seeing these characters come to life. And I don't know if we can see it, but like Robin is there, and there's some other ones in there. It's fun to start trying to recognize which characters are in there. But it's a very beautiful story. It's a very beautiful book. It talks a lot about, not just a little kid who's having trouble with his reality, and whether it's true or not, but dealing with a lot of emotions that he has bottled in because of the loss of his dad, his condition with diabetes, and everything else that he's dealing with his life. Very, very cool book. I highly, highly, highly recommend this one.
Mhm. All right, next up, we have a Black Label title
Yay!
from DC. This is Batman City of Madness. So buried deep beneath Gotham City, there exists another Gotham. This is Gotham Below, which is a living nightmare. It has a population that mirrors Gotham's denizens. So there's a doorway between the two cities that swing wide, and we have this like twisted version of the Dark Knight that is very much like a
Mm-hmm.
Cthulhu Batman, and
Yeah.
I took off the covers just so you
Mm-hmm.
can see like the gorgeous hardcover for this. So we have Batman from above who must form an alliance with the Court of Owls to stop like the Batman from below the night, and also stop the nightmarish versions of his own nemesis from the Gotham below. What I really like about this is that you have on writing and on art the creativeness is done by one person, and that's Christian Ward. And I just want to give you some examples of how beautiful it is. You see how the
Yes.
shadow of Batman, the text on imposed on that shadow, so beautifully done. Um, what I also like is that we have like again the creativeness, right? This looks like window
Mm-hmm.
panes, but then you're looking inside and within the window at Alfred, who is like deeply concerned and waiting for Bruce to come back home. But you're also looking outwards through the window where Bruce is on his mission to like fight evil. So it's just so beautifully done here. I also did want to show this like beginning where we get introduced to Two-Face. I just want to show that to you closely.
Yeah.
So it's so creative, and I don't think I've ever seen this before, where you see like the vertical split with Two-Face, but it extends in the background. So you have his like men who are in like suit and ties on the one side, and then you have the representation of the chaos and the punk men on the other side. So I just love the
Mm-hmm.
creativeness, the chaotic paint splashes as well. It's like the creativity is so bursting in this
Yeah.
comic. You can also see the influence with Arkham Asylum, and that gets mentioned here as well. You see like the silhouette of Amadeus Arkham as like Batman yet again is going down the rabbit hole to the descent into his own story in this book. So I if you haven't read it already, I mean, this is lauded all over, and you should read it, pick it up if you haven't done so already. Highly recommend.
Yes.
I could go on, but I'm
All
stopping
right.
here.
Yeah. And I'm gonna continue. And before I continue, I gotta mention. I forgot to mention that this is written by Grant Morrison and illustrated by Sean Murphy. I want to make sure I mention that up there. And then the next one is also another reprint. This is Nightclub, Volume One by Mark Millar, and is illustrated by Juan Ramirez. And I hadn't read this when it first came out. I read it with this reprint because Mark Millar moved his Millar World over to Dark Horse this year, and so they've been reprinting all his other stuff. Um, and I've always was curious about it, and I gotta say, I don't know why I didn't pick it up before. So don't make the same mistake. Pick it up now. It is such a great story about these three teenagers who are vampires fighting crime, and it's the main character. I forget his name right now, somewhere in here. Danny, I believe. He's 17 years old. He's being a very foolish boy with his friends trying to do YouTube videos of him doing parkour on a bicycle, and he ends up falling off. I believe it's a bridge, or I can't remember, but it's a very high place with his bicycle. So he has this accident. He ends up in the hospital with all his injuries. You don't know if he's gonna make it. And but then this man shows up who's happens to be a detective, but also a vampire, and he turns him into a vampire, and he's been picking people um, in situations similar to him where they're either sick or about to die, and saves their life by turning them into vampires, but so they can be good people and do good things, and just sort of and that's what this guy does. I think it is Danny. I'm so sorry, but it's very fun book. It's very Mark Millar. It's like kick ass, and but at the same time, they're like fun, funny, sarcastic, but also a lot of seriousness. Very bloody, obviously, and it's just fun. And this collects 1 through 6, and also there's a second run that I believe is, I don't know if it's still it's done already. I think so, but then it's going to be a trade for number 2 also for the second run, for second miniseries, I should say. They're coming out in series. Um, I can't say anything else. Actually, it's the trade for number 2 is coming in June of next year. Yes, I just see it. So can't say enough about this. Also, it's just a small detail. As I was flipping through again today, I forgot. Yeah, they get the mask online. Like they kind of buy them on Amazon, the each other masks, because they have to keep themselves covered, not just to cover themselves and their identities, but also their thing. They cover themselves up so they don't burn out as a vampire. So very cool, very fun, very bloody.
Mhm.
There you go.
All right, so my last pick is Suitor
Yep.
Armor. This is by Purpaw. Humans and Fae are at war and beyond the castle, but within the castle, we have Lucia, one of the characters here. She is dedicated to helping Lady Kersey for her upcoming wedding to King Raymond. But Lucia is hiding a dangerous secret, and it's about her own identity. She is technically an enemy of the people because she's a fairy. So Lucia one day accompanies her lady to a royal tournament, and I had to show this to you because it's basically a love at first sight scene. So basically, in this tournament, we have this knight who's like winning battles. He's looking for a challenger, and then the court mage is like, "I have a challenger," and the mage created this armor, like a fighting armor. Like there's nothing inside the armor. It's just an armor that fights. And then
Yeah.
Lucia's like, "Oh, who is this? Who is this this handsome armor?" And then we have this epic introduction to the living armor. Look how hunky he is. Such a dramatic entrance. And this is what I'm saying, love at first sight, because when she sees the armor for the first time, the blushing comes out. She's enamored by this armor. And so basically, they're bonded by their mutual status. They're outcasts within the kingdom. The two begin to develop unlikely yet thrilling connections. Sparks fly, metaphorically and also magically. It is a really, really cute. And I just have a lot of fun with it. I think you will too. Um, this is a mage who made the armor. He's like systematically the third wheel. Like she's the reason for her to see the mage is so that she could see the armor.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It made me laugh at certain points, and I think you'll enjoy it. So I had to include this in my top picks. Yeah.
Other one, very cool.
Mhm.
Yes, and that's it. We hope you enjoyed this video of us just telling you what we like. It'd be great if you could share with us on in the comments what you like this year from Penguin Animal House. We are looking forward to another great year in 2025. We hope you join us for that. And like I said, there's going to be another video that you're going to be able to find that's the same, but with the manga, manhwas, and light novels in that part of the world. And like I think I mentioned it before, yes, but here it is. We're on social media. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram. We're on X and Facebook. You can find us at PRH International Comics. And that's it for now. Thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Hi, everyone.